It's an honor to be here this evening to recognize the achievements of 7 truly amazing people.
Tonight, we hope to inspire and motivate you through the stories of these special individuals who've made a powerful difference in our community. As you'll see, no matter what your age or place in life, you can volunteer. The Kachina Council has been dedicated to selecting and honoring individuals for exceptional volunteerism for nearly 4 decades.
We have recognized the outstanding accomplishments of those people who have either founded or served many of the state's nonprofit organizations. The mission of the Kachina Council is to inspire positive change by recognizing ordinary individuals doing extraordinary things, applauding them, and presenting them as an example to motivate others to volunteer.
At this time, we would like to recognize the 2014 council members who were responsible for planning this evening's program. Would you all please stand? Now, we'd like to welcome to the stage the Boy Scouts Troop of America, Troop 401, for the presentation of the colors. Will the audience please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, please be seated. Thank you, Troop 401, for volunteering tonight. Much appreciated. We are now pleased to introduce our distinguished MC. She's a familiar face as we all get up and get ready for work each weekday morning. Kaylee O'Kelly is co-anchor, host, and a reporter for Arizona's most popular morning news program, Good Morning Arizona.
The 5-time Emmy Award-winning journalist graduated from Pepperdine University and has worked all over the country. But Phoenix is her home now, and she's raising her children right here. Kaylee herself has volunteered with numerous Valley charities. Let's have a big round of applause for Kaylee O'Kelly, tonight's Kachina Volunteer Awards MC.
How's everybody doing? I was back there writing notes because I don't read a prompter very well, let alone a script that's sitting right here, so hopefully you guys will be really patient with me. First of all, I am so honored to be here, and I mean that sincerely. As someone who is asked fairly often to MC, even in the back, can you guys hear me? Because a lot of times I overmodulate too, which is yelling into a microphone and hurting eardrums. But we get asked fairly often to help MC fundraisers and events, and yes, part of it is our job as people who work for Channel 3, but when you get asked, and it's wonderful, don't get me wrong, but when you get asked to MC an event like the Kachina Awards, I can't even begin to tell you what an honor that is for me. I came to the Kachina Awards 11 years ago when I moved to the Valley, and I had never been to anything like this before, and I mean, I've worked in television all over the country, but there was something so incredibly special. I'm Native American, one thing, so of course I instantly connected with the Kachina dolls. I grew up knowing what these were. But to learn so much about this community right out of the gate and see so many incredible volunteers at that time, it gave me a true sense of how giving this community is. And the unsung heroes of this community, these are the angels that are hidden in our community, and they help to make life here better. And it really inspired me to get involved as a volunteer and help others. So I want to thank this organization for changing my life out of the gate. And I want to give you guys a round of applause. Thank you for that, because I'm so excited for what this organization stands for. It's just and this is my husband, and it's our wedding anniversary weekend, and we were stoked to be able to celebrate this with you. So thank you. Plus, you got off the hook, right, honey? I see you. You're blushing. All right. I know many of you know this. Others of you may not, but it is so awesome to understand and learn about these volunteer numbers here in our state. We've got more than 1 million people who volunteer. In fact, someone worked really hard to get this number, and it was 1,000,017 volunteers who work so hard in this state to make this state what it is when it comes to volunteering. And there's a lot to be said for that. And tonight, we are going to be honoring some of those people. And I hope that y'all brought some Kleenex, because going through this script, oh my gosh, I have a feeling we're going to be shedding some tears together here. Before we get going any further, I would like to bring out Dr. William Smith tonight. And let's give him a round of applause, because he is going to be leading our invocation. He is the Director of Student Services for the Alhambra School District.
Good evening. Let us pray. Father God, we truly thank you for this day, and we thank you for the volunteers, Father, in the service, Father. We thank you for their selflessness, Father, and we thank you for all the number of hours that they put in to help those who may not be able to help themselves, Father. Then, Father, we thank you for the Kachina group, Father, the organization that has recognized them. Even though they required no recognition, Father, we just ask you, thank you for their service and their loyalty, Father. We thank you for those who are here tonight, Father, who are here to honor those who have worked so hard and diligently. Father, we thank you for the families of those who have sacrificed to allow them to do the service that you have put him here to do. Now, Father, we ask you to bless this food that we're going to receive tonight, that it may continue to nourish our bodies. In Christ's sakes we pray. Amen.
Well, all of our winners tonight are going to get a cash award for their organization and one of these exquisite Kachina dolls. They are handcrafted, and if you haven't had an opportunity to get a really close-up look at them, there is a lot to be appreciated here. In fact, let's talk about the significance of the Kachina Council and the significance of the Kachina doll from Colby Hunter.
The Han, or Healing Volunteer Awards Program, was originally conceived to recognize outstanding volunteer contributions within the healthcare field. This was tied with St. Luke's Medical Center, which has had a rich history of 100 years of volunteerism throughout the state of Arizona. In 1980, the scope of the Kachina Volunteer Awards was expanded from the healthcare field to all service areas throughout the state of Arizona. The Hopi artist who creates these amazing Kachinas is Tony Briones of Phoenix. He's been a longtime supporter of the Kachina Council, as he has carved them for several years. The compelling part of his story is that he is legally blind. So his artwork is truly amazing, just like our honorees.
Pretty incredible, right? I mean, it gives you an even better idea of how amazing this is. Okay, so I have 2 toddlers, and I have learned that if you let a toddler know what the game plan is, you're good to go, right? Life goes a little. There are people who probably have grown children in here, but I'm sure that a lot of us have dealt with this whole toddler thing, right? You give a game plan, you let them know what's going to happen, life goes well. That's what we're doing tonight. We're going to let you know how this is going to go down. This is going to happen in 3 segments, okay? First, 2 honoree stories are going to be shared, and then we'll go into our first course. Then the next 3 honorees will be presented, followed by the entree. And after dinner, we're going to welcome a special guest up and present the final 2 honorees. We will finish with dessert and coffee out on the patio. This is obviously a celebration and a recognition of our extraordinary volunteers, and this would not be possible without the generous support of sponsors and supporters here. So tonight we are also going to be taking time out to honor these special people and their companies for their support, and among them is Wells Fargo.
Good evening. I'm Dean Murnell, past chair of these Kachina Awards. On behalf of Wells Fargo's 15,000 Arizona team members, who collectively volunteered over 100,000 hours last year, I'd like to congratulate and recognize tonight's honorees. You know, it's because of you that Arizona is a great place to live, work, and raise a family. So congratulations to you and the organizations that you serve.
So proceeds from this evening's event are shared by the nonprofit organizations represented by our honorees. St. Luke's Health Initiatives has been a founding partner and supporter of the Kachina Volunteer Award since Kachina first began back in the mid-90s. Who was here back then helping to celebrate that? Right? I see a show of hands here. Great. That's fantastic. SHLI is focused its mission on being the catalyst of community health, which includes the principles of service and volunteerism in our community. And at this time, we will hear from Suzanne Feaster, President and CEO of St. Luke's Health Initiatives.
On behalf of St. Luke's Health Initiatives, I'd like to give a hearty congratulations to the 2014 award recipients for the Kachina Volunteer Awards. St. Luke's Health Initiatives has had a long-standing partnership with Kachina, and we are very proud of the work they have done to celebrate volunteerism in our community.
Pretty amazing, right? We want to put some perspective on this. Arizona volunteers donate, and I always get choked up on numbers here, 169.4 million hours of service every year. That is a heck of a lot. So much so that it saves organizations so much money that has been boiled down, or maybe up to $3.8 billion worth of service every single year. And when we're talking about the economy, right, this is the kind of stuff that really helps. How many of you, by just a show of hands, volunteer? Okay, so really almost all of us, right? You guys need to give yourselves a round of applause for that. That is a very big deal. Right now, without further ado, we want to get to our first Kachina honoree. When Art Bands joined the Navajo County Family Advocacy Centers in Show Low and Holbrook, he was well known in the community as a man who knew how to raise funds for worthy causes. And he is also known as a man who knows how to put on a good show. In 2011, Art and other volunteers raised enough funds to build 2 centers designed specifically to help abused children. Take a look.
Packard. Beautiful.
On a cool summer day in Show Low, Art Bands admires the classic wheels of his fellow car collectors at a car show he put together recently.
He's a car club guy. His car shows are wonderful. All the guys love him.
The car shows and other events that Art coordinates help raise funds for the Navajo County Family Advocacy Centers, one in Show Low and one in Holbrook.
They've seen over 300 children here in 2 years, which is unacceptable, in my opinion. It's just too many. One too many. And the children are just being abused.
The Navajo County Family Advocacy Centers were established to provide a humane approach to cases of child abuse and sexual assault.
You go back 4 years ago, if a child was injured or sexually abused, and put in the back of a police car, driven to Flagstaff. Now that's a 2.5-hour ride for a 5-6-year-old. And they were interviewed, examined there, then they brought back here, if it was Show Low. Then they go to the police station and talk to the police and tell them what happened. Then they'd let them go home. The next day the district attorneys would come in and question this child, and it's like, why me? Why am I in jail?
The Family Advocacy Center offers a home-like atmosphere and focuses on the needs of the victims they serve, which puts children at ease in a safe setting, greatly increasing the effectiveness of the investigative process. The center reduces the number of interviews that victims have to undergo. It also eliminates travel time for victims and for service providers. These multidisciplinary provider teams perform medical evaluations and forensic interviews. They also arrange for child protective services and conduct investigations that help lead to prosecutions and convictions.
Art's role and the role of my other volunteers is very important because we don't have the funding to have a budget to be able to pay somebody to do this. So I strictly rely on my volunteers. Art's talent is to be able to knock on the door and secure the funds and donations we need for those raffle items, for those auction items, and for sponsorship.
You can make a difference. Art has made a huge difference in the lives of hundreds of children in Navajo County.
For Art, organizing the car shows and other events lead to peace of mind and something else too.
I can sleep at night knowing I've helped somebody, that a child has come here and been saved.
Pretty incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Art Bands to the stage, and he is joined by Kachina Council Advocate John Finnegan and Monica Finnegan with Benovia Winery.
You expect Elvis? It's an honor to be standing up here to receive this award for volunteerism. I am not a volunteer. I'm what you call a doer. Aaron Erleberry called me 5 years ago and explained to me what the Family Advocacy Center was. It was a dream in Navajo County. 5 years ago, we started together. I got together. I am a car guy with all, as you saw in the video, a bunch of car guys. We put on car shows. I knock on doors. Every time I walk into a business, they say, "Oh God, he's back again." Yes, I was. I still am to today. The children in Navajo County are better today than they were 5 years ago. The video says, a couple of hundred. As of today, there have been over 400 children going through Navajo County Family Advocacy Center in Show Low in Holbrook, Arizona, from age 3 months to 12. A few adults have come through. But with the help of the community, myself, and everybody here in the auditorium, getting out there, getting out the word, these children need us. There is a lot of abuse out there, whether it's physical, sexual. There is no such thing as stranger danger. As if you know, on the news the other day, the little 8-year-old girl in Bullhead City was murdered and raped by the person spending the night in the house. So if we all get out and let them know we are there, it's compassion and respect that we in Show Low, Navajo County, give the families. Our motto is saving the children and helping the families. And I want to thank you all for honoring me, for honoring all the children in Navajo County. And I thank you.
That's one heck of a guy right there, right? We need people like that. So you got to hear Art Bands, right? And he's one of many, many award winners when it comes to the Kachina Award. And since its inception back in the late 70s, in 1977, the Kachina Council has given out nearly 400 volunteer awards, and that is including this year's award winners. It really is a huge achievement to make it to the winner's circle. As you will hear from Kachina Council Member Brian Gottfredson, choosing a winner from all of the deserving volunteers out there is a long and spirited process.
The selection process is my favorite part of the council. We start with between 100 and 200 nominations every year. And what we do is we narrow that field over the course of 6 or 7 weeks. Every nomination gets at least 2 independent looks. And after that, after the first 2 weeks of people reviewing the nominations, we reduce the field, and we keep reducing the field week after week until we have about 11 to 17 finalists. Once we have our finalists, the selection committee members go out all over Arizona, interview these folks who have been nominated, get to know them, get to know what they've been doing over the course of the several years or the year that they've been actively volunteering in Arizona. They come back and report to the selection committee, and then we decide on the finalists. People become very passionate about the folks that they're meeting out in the community and these outstanding volunteers. And once we really get to know them, the folks who nominated them, and the people in the community who really benefit from their volunteerism, we want to stick up for those people we've learned about. And so it does get competitive at times, and as we narrow the field, it gets more competitive. But that's part of the fun of the process.
Well, our next Kachina Award winner is Terry Wilson with St. Vincent de Paul. And you know, he's been a longtime valued member of the St. Vincent de Paul family for more than 34 years. He has worked to help make St. Vincent de Paul a leader, not just nationally, but on an international level as well. In fact, his creation of organizational procedures and guidelines have been implemented in more than 147 countries. But his work doesn't just focus on procedure. He also touches needy families, children, and students directly, and many have a bright future ahead of them, thanks to Terry.
This is our dental clinic. The dental clinic takes care of the children, a lot of people, but children in particular, because the children...
For more than 3 decades, Terry Wilson has volunteered much of his time and his business operations skills to St. Vincent de Paul.
I've been doing it for 35 years, and it hasn't changed. It's just what I do.
What Terry Wilson does is change people's lives for the better. An extremely modest man, Terry doesn't want to talk about his accomplishments. He wants to talk about St. Vincent de Paul's other volunteers.
And it's all volunteer doctors. We have a couple of people on our staff. It's all volunteer doctors. And last I heard, about 197 doctors take their day off and come down here to help people.
Terry has been the face of St. Vincent de Paul for a number of years, and he's been involved in a number of aspects, both locally and internationally, which is incredible.
Terry Wilson has the unique distinction of being someone who has served St. Vincent de Paul in many different capacities. He's as comfortable in the boardroom helping to make policy for St. Vincent de Paul as he is delivering a food box.
Helping teens get a college education is another thing Terry does. He founded St. Vincent de Paul's One at a Time scholarship program. It provides financial help for motivated students, and the main objective is to change the future economic life of low-income students. Terry remembers well what it's like to be on the receiving end of a gift like a free education.
A young minister came down to the place I was and said, "Are you going to go to college?" And I said, "Haven't thought about it." But I realized what a gift that was to me. And so in 2001, I knew he had left the ministry and was over at Redlands University, and so we drove over to see Larry and tell him how important it was of what he gave me. And I knocked on the door, and Polly came to the door, and I said, "Polly, I'd like to talk to Larry." She said, "Well, I'm sorry, he passed away 30 days ago. Soon we'll have 100 for his one."
the beautiful facility that we have here that you've seen on this video, it wouldn't be here without the leadership and without the vision of Terry Wilson many years ago. He's the only person in the United States who serves on our international board of directors for St. Vincent de Paul out of Paris.
One of Terry's favorite places is at the St. Vincent's Dining Hall on West Jackson Street downtown. In the chapel sits an exact replica of Michelangelo's Pieta. It's an exquisite piece that was created using molds from the original sculpture. Pieta means compassion in Italian. That's something Terry has in spades. But once again, he doesn't take any credit.
I could never do this work if it wasn't for St. Vincent de Paul. I'm just so blessed to have an organization like this behind me. So I've contributed so little compared to what the society is.
Pretty amazing, huh? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Terry Wilson. He is escorted by Kachina Council Advocate Joy Whitfield and Elena Lowry with the Phoenix Business Journal.
By the Lord of sea and sky, I have heard my people cry, all who dwell in dark and sin, my hand will save. I who made the stars of night, I will
make. Kachina volunteers, thank you. St. Vincent de Paul's motto is feed, clothe, house, and heal. But that doesn't say it all. One of our major underlying goals is an old idea with a new name: systemic change. That is to make a permanent change in someone's life. If you are living in poverty, there are two ways to have a better life. One is to win the lottery, the other is education. Obviously, education is the best way. Our one-at-a-time program for a college degree leads to a better life. All 95 of our students were from economically disadvantaged homes. Now they have achieved the goal of a better life. The Board of Regents did a study of the high school class of 2003. 57% of the high school graduates went to college. After 5 years, 25% had an AA or a bachelor's degree. Using the same criteria, over 60% of our students reached that same goal. That is over double the results of the study. I believe the difference is our program has a volunteer mentor for each student. We also have an orientation to college for the students and our yearly fun day with pizza and ice cream. It includes speakers covering motivation, time management, and other life skills. We support each student financially until they graduate or leave the program. A requirement of our program is for an act of kindness each semester. The student must volunteer for a nonprofit, charity, school, or church. Hopefully, this will result in a lifetime of volunteering. There is no staff involved. Our volunteer committee members donate all the costs of the program, so all money raised goes directly to our students. The committee has raised about half of the $1 million given directly to the students in the 14 years of the program. A study says a bachelor's degree will increase the lifetime earnings by $1 million and an AA degree by $325,000 over a high school diploma. A calculated life value of all our students for them to have is $50 million. What a great investment, $1 million to $50 million. Pause for a moment and visualize that everyone wanting a good job and a good life stands in a single file line according to the education they have. The more education one has, the closer to front they are. Even a few semesters of college moves you up in the line to a good job and a good life. There's an old saying, all you have will belong to someone else someday. but what you give away is yours forever. Writing a check is wonderful, but giving part of yourself by volunteering is even so much more rewarding. I know the mentors and I have the same feeling about our volunteering for the students. Their lives and ours are linked together forever. I call it a mini miracle, knowing that I have a tiny little part of success and a better life of each student. One of our students wanted to be a teacher since kindergarten. Now she will never have to say, if only. If only I could have gone to college. Now she is a teacher, has earned a master's degree, and is working on her PhD. A tiny little bit of me is there with her. When I drive down Highway 51, sensing one of our students, she is a civil engineer and help with some of the redesigning of the freeway. A little bit of me is there with her. A hearing impaired, legally deaf student with the prospect of a very difficult life will have a much better life because she will have a bachelor's degree. A tiny little bit of me is there with her. Every one of our 95 students has a story of success. Another student became a teacher. Now he's teaching at ASU, working on his master's degree. He is on the board of Roosevelt School District and has just ran in the primary election to be a state legislator. Someone else received more votes this time, but I know he will be there someday. He doesn't give up. He's just that kind of a man. I feel so proud to be a tiny little bit of his successes. He is here tonight with us, representing all 95 students. Marcelina, would you stand, please? One person can make a difference when they volunteer. I talked about Larry Marshburn in the video. He is the genesis of our One at a Time program, but what he did for me many years ago in 1955. Now he has nearly 100 students. Their lives and the lives of children, grandchildren will be much enriched because of Larry. The ripple of volunteering for changing lives goes on forever. May God bless all of you, and especially Han Kachina volunteers that make this program possible.
We didn't get your last name, so we know who to vote for in the next primary. There you go. Quinones, thank you. All right, we're going to pause and enjoy our first course here, and this is going to be amazing. We're going to take a quick break, but as we do, we leave you with a message from the Han Kachina Council.
Good evening. Welcome to the 2014 Han Kachina Volunteer Awards.
The Han Kachina Council would like to thank St. Luke's Health Initiatives for its tremendous support throughout the years in organizing one of the most prestigious volunteer recognition events in Arizona.
Thank you to our sponsors for your generous financial support. Without you, this night would not be possible. We'd like to once again recognize Bonovia Winery, Alliance Bank of Arizona, and Wells Fargo in particular.
Thank you to all the nominators for taking the time to submit an application for your volunteer hero. While we are here to recognize 7 individuals, all those who were nominated are winners and deserve our appreciation.
We'd like to remind you to nominate someone who you think is worthy of a Han Kachina Award. Nominations for 2015 are due by Friday, October 24th, so please visit hankachina.org for details.
Whether you are a volunteer or an organization with special volunteers, we would like to hear your stories. We are dedicated to promoting volunteerism throughout the state of Arizona. We will gladly retweet, share, like, and post your stories.
A special thank you to the Governor's Commission on Service and Volunteerism for their continued support. Bob Sjogren and Carla Friedman have been fantastic to work with and are instrumental every year in finding fantastic honorees.
We urge you to support them year after year.
We would like to thank all of you for attending tonight. Your presence and support has made this evening very special for our honorees.
And whether you are a loved one or a colleague, your support has allowed these wonderful honorees to do everything that they love to do.
Last but not least, thank you to all our honorees. You're an amazing group of compassionate people. You have made this world a better place. Thank you for all that you do. You're an inspiration to everyone in this room.
Please remember to make a difference in someone's life by volunteering. Thank you and good night.
Thank you for your generous support. We look forward to seeing you May 9th, 2015.
All right, well, we are going to take just a moment here to hear from another one of our generous supporters.
Good evening. I'm Kate Maynard with Alliance Bank of Arizona. Congratulations to all of the 2014 Han Kachina Award winners. The dedication that each of you has given to your individual causes deserves to be applauded, and Alliance Bank could not be happier to continue to be a part of this event. It is incredibly humbling to hear your stories and what motivated you to give your time, your energy, and a large piece of yourselves to your organizations. You are a true inspiration to all of us. The legacy that you have created will be one that remains in Arizona for years to come. On behalf of everyone at Alliance Bank of Arizona, congratulations to each of you. We hope that you enjoy the evening celebrating with family, friends, and a community that stands behind you as your efforts continue to impact thousands of people every year.
Well, our next award winner is Larry Camo with Native American Connections, Home Base Youth Services. And for more than 14 years, Larry has been a godsend to thousands of homeless kids in the state of Arizona. And, you know, when we talk about homeless kids, it just breaks your heart, right? So through the Native American Connections Home-Based Youth Outreach Program, he's taken teens off the streets and he has given them a chance to live normal, happy, healthy, productive lives. And there is something about Larry, just his way of talking and just being there to listen, that really stands out, and it touches something inside these kids. Take a look.
This is my room. It may not seem much to those that have a home, but to me, this is everything. This is all I have.
A few months ago, Jonathan Walter didn't have a place to sit down, a place to sleep or shower, or even a place to just be.
It was hard. I was on the streets, didn't have nowhere to go. I was consistently praying, oh God, please help me. Get out of this situation, and eventually answer those prayers.
And I've made this.
Enter Larry Camo, a volunteer with Home Base and Native American Connections, an organization that helps homeless youth.
Larry has changed my life. I'll never forget the moment that I met him. He walked up to me and gave me a handshake, looked me direct in my eyes. He said, you know what, it's gonna be all right, and he encouraged me by, not just by words, but by example.
Throughout his more than 15 years as a volunteer at Native American Connections and Home Base, Larry has helped many homeless teens get off the streets.
I never did serve my country in a time of war, but I've served the youth of every community I've lived in since I graduated college. I've been a big brother, a mentor, a court-appointed advocate many times over, and I was looking for a new volunteer opportunity.
Rhea Collins was staying at the Cass shelter when she first met Larry, and it changed her life.
CAS, Central Arizona Shelter Services, is a lot of older homeless, the chronically homeless, and that's our mission, is to get them out of the shelter system, off the streets, or out of a bad home situation.
I'm going to school. I just started. I'm studying in medical billing and coding. So I just started school and I got a job because Larry helped me get my food handler's card, which I wouldn't have been able to pay for by myself.
Home Base helps young adults prepare for healthy, independent living. They get help finding a place to live, finishing school or training, and finding employment. In addition, they get mental health services.
If it wasn't for home base, I wouldn't have had that stability that I so much wanted just to finish high school, and home base has given me that.
It's not a shelter. Whether you stay here a day, a month, or 6 months, you're going to be better off when you leave than when you come in.
Larry, to me, is the epitome of a volunteer. He gives his time freely. Today, we have kids come back and say, "How's Larry? I'd come back and see you guys, but I really want to see Larry." Our volunteers probably give us something like hundreds of thousands of dollars of their time, effort, materials, and I think Larry is the example that kind of leads that.
Lost in a story like that, right? I mean, oh my gosh. Let's continue to give Larry a warm welcome to the stage. He is accompanied, by the way, by Han Kachina Council Advocate Aaron Hart and Scott Trout with SRP.
We all imagine and believe we live in a great community, state, and country. Unfortunately, just about half of our population is on some kind of government support. You'll have to forgive me, I've been ill and I haven't been able to put two sentences together today. And I always ask, whose responsibility is it? And I'm always told the same thing. To fill in the cracks, it's the responsibility of the local communities, the nonprofits, the churches, and the volunteers. Like I said in the movie, I've never served my country in a time of war, but I've served the youth of every community I've lived in. I've been a big brother, a mentor, a court-appointed advocate many times over since 1978. And I was looking for a new volunteer opportunity, and I heard on the radio that for Cinco de Mayo, Macayo's restaurant was donating some of their proceeds to Home-Based Youth Services, an organization that works with homeless teens. And I was shocked that there would be homeless youth in my community, and I was grateful that there's a nonprofit and a local restaurant that was supporting them. So to Macayo's, your outreach worked. I've been there 15 years. That's part of it, was the public awareness campaign. So I called Home Base and asked, what kind of volunteer opportunities do you have? And they said, we just got a building, and we're going to do an outreach center where homeless youth can come in, take a shower, get services, get 3 meals a day, rest, get case managed, work on their GED, and if they're drug-free and alcohol-free, they can live in our transitional living facility. I said, awesome, I want in. But the person that was interviewing me, the two people were under 20. And I said, wow, I'm 45. I wonder if I'm too old. If maybe I'm too big and too scary. Or I don't have enough tattoos or piercings to relate to a street kid. But after the first 2 months, it had all worked itself out. We were on a first-name basis with the youth on the street. They knew our schedule. They would ask us about other volunteers and other staff and what night they're coming out, and they'd fill us in on what the other youth were doing. So that was great for the first 2 months. Then October came around, and I noticed we were seeing a lot of youth on the streets, but they weren't coming into our center. So I asked one of the new staff members if I could take the van and round up all the street kids and take them to the state fair. He said, well, it's kind of late on a Friday to get permission, but I don't see why not. So that was a yes for me. I went down to Mill Avenue, rounded up a van full of kids, and off we went to the state fair. Had a great time, and from October, November, and December, those kids, when we saw them on the street, they were my buddies. They would tell us who was doing bad stuff, who was doing good stuff. It was like having someone on the inside. Then as Christmas came around, I wondered where they went because the streets kind of thinned out. And I started getting phone calls and letters from jail, from prison, youth in their group homes would call me and want me to come visit. And I couldn't imagine it because I'm like, what am I, their only friend? And I said, I know on street outreach we are the only positive adult in their life. But I was touched that they would want to invite me to their group home just to visit. They said they have no one. And unfortunately, some of the youth we've come across, they have nobody. Every program has failed them. Their families have failed them. So we have our work cut out for us to convince them that our program is going to work. We found a 17-year-old girl who ran away from home with the family cat. She was on Mill Avenue for maybe 3 or 4 days. She disappeared just as fast as she appeared, and 6 months later, she wrote a letter, and it said, Larry, home base, kind of like IRS, Ogden, Utah. It got to me. It was shuffled around, and it was in my mailbox when I went to volunteer, and I opened it up, and she thanked me and the home base organization for listening. I was so touched by that. She thanked me for listening. So I went to the psychiatrist. He had an office down the hall, and I said, what do we need to do? Do I need to get a master in social work? Do I need classes? Do I need certificates? What can we do to do more for these youth? And he reminded me. He said that what you provide as a volunteer is very therapeutic and just as important as any part of our continuum of care. So I said, okay, forget the master in social work. I'll be a volunteer. So I focused on all the fun things, the camping trips, the state fair, the food handler's card, barbecues, and pancakes, pancake breakfasts. I am proof that you can make a difference and you don't need any special skills. You just have to show up and it'll all work itself out. When you imagine your community being a better place for everyone, imagine you had something to do with it. It's an honor to receive this award and represent the youth of our community through Home-Based Youth Services of Native American Connections. I would like to share this award in spirit with my fellow volunteers and dedicate it to the homeless youth we couldn't reach. Thank you.
I need Kleenex. That was awesome. All right. Our next honoree, Shannon Goldwater. She is the founder of an organization called Feeding Matters. It was back in 2002 that she gave birth to her triplets 4 months prematurely, and after her babies survived life-threatening infections and surgeries, she brought them home. But when they struggled to eat, nobody would listen, and it was her own motherly devotion that saw her family through this ordeal. And as you are about to see, it's given hope and help to other parents who may have felt like they were alone with children who suffer through feeding struggles.
It's on the list of a new parent's simple pleasures, feeding your child and watching them enjoy different foods for the very first time. But unfortunately for some parents, that's not the case.
Many people haven't even ever heard of what a feeding issue is, but the reality is that there's hundreds of thousands of children and infants who struggle to eat for various reasons.
When Shannon Goldwater brought home her triplets from the hospital, she had no idea why they were struggling to eat.
They were choking and vomiting and gagging and retching at every meal and arching. The monitors were going off. We were feeding. It would take 30 minutes to feed them a bottle that takes a typically developing infant 10 minutes to eat.
Doctors weren't hearing her, and she was passed from one specialist to another.
So that it came to a point where I actually said to some of the care providers, all right, I need you to feed my child then. You need to feed them. And when they couldn't feed them, then measures were taken for the kids to start to get an evaluation.
Gradually, things improved, but she decided to do something for other parents going through what she'd endured. She has founded Feeding Matters, an organization that has brought together international feeding experts to help identify and help parents and their kids with pediatric feeding issues.
The mission of Feeding Matters is to bring pediatric feeding struggles to the forefront. So infants and children are identified early, families' voices are heard, and medical professionals are equipped to provide the collaborative care these kids desperately need.
In addition, Shannon and her team have created an online platform for families to share advice and support. Her efforts have impacted families nationwide. Chris Lynn met Shannon when she was dealing with her own child's eating problems.
Honestly, Shannon has been a hero in my life. She has changed the course of our life for Emily, and without knowing her and getting the advice that she gave to me to help Emily along, we wouldn't have made the progress that we made. She took the time out of her own journey she was going through with her triplets to try to help my family.
Hello, hello.
For Shannon, the work with her children and helping others locally and nationally continues.
As I went through this journey with my own kids and family, it's like the wheels just fell into place and I knew what I needed to do, and everything else sort of took care of itself. And I met wonderful people who helped spearhead this effort with me.
Let's have a big round of applause for Shannon Goldwater, and tonight she is accompanied by Kachina Council advocate John Sullenberger and Kate Maynard with Alliance Bank of Arizona.
Good evening. It is a great honor and privilege to be with all of you here this evening. Thank you to the Kachina Council, the sponsors, my fellow honorees, and attendees for taking your place at the table tonight to recognize the importance and lasting impact of community volunteers. Most of all, I'd like to thank my husband Bob, my children Megan, Will, and Lee, my parents, and my in-laws for your many sacrifices throughout the past 12 years. I dedicate this award to you and to all the families who are facing pediatric feeding struggles. Watching your children suffer several times a day, every time they eat, is incredibly painful. Mealtime should be based on trust, a time when we bond and foster meaningful relationships with our infants and young children. My children require feeding tubes to survive. During the first 4 years of their life, we spent over a year of our lives living in and out of hospitals across the country, searching for help and answers. We had nowhere to turn, no information, and no support. I felt like a failure as a mother. These challenges and the love for my children inspired me to create an organization that is spearheading education, advocacy, treatment, and research, so that families have access to resources that provide appropriate treatment and support. Before seeing the video tonight, many of you may not even have known that pediatric feeding struggles exist. But eating is actually more difficult than walking or talking. It's the only thing that we do that requires the use of all of our senses and all of our organs. It takes 26 muscles and 6 cranial nerves to produce a single swallow. It is a very misunderstood issue that affects 15,000 children and infants in our state and over 1 million nationwide. When children are unable to eat, they cannot thrive cognitively, physically, socially, or emotionally, and they are at high risk for lifelong complications. As I look around the room tonight, I'm delighted, but also reminded of all my children have overcome and what not to take for granted. A big part of the celebration here tonight is enjoying each other and a delicious meal. But for the first 8 years of Megan, Will, and Lee's life, there wasn't a single meal that the mere sight, smell, or taste of food didn't make them choke, gag, or cry. Feeding them was an agonizing and painful experience that we all dreaded. Having them here tonight, enjoying in the meal with me and my husband and my family, is a dream come true. Megan Wilnley, I love you, and I'm tremendously proud of you. I'm sorry. It's for this reason that I feel a tremendous responsibility to be a champion for this issue. As a scholar and social activist, Bernice Johnson Reagan once said, "Life's challenges are not supposed to paralyze you. They're supposed to help you discover who you are." I believe from our greatest accomplishments in life often come from our greatest challenges. Still today, there are millions of infants and children nationwide who are underserved and misdiagnosed. Feeding Matters is the only organization of its kind in existence in the world. We are creating a voice, an opportunity for healing, for the children who are suffering and for the families who feel helpless and desperate. Thank you to the Feeding Matters staff, volunteers, and supporters for working tirelessly to make my dreams a reality. I'm well aware we face a formidable challenge, but I remain absolutely convinced that because of your goodwill and the support of our community, we will conquer pediatric feeding struggles to nourish healthy futures. Tonight is just a small window for the amazing work that's being done across the entire state, and I encourage all of you to leave here tonight as volunteers in transmitting the spark of your own challenges back into our community. Everyone here tonight can make a difference. It's the duty of all of us to make the voices of the neediest and the most vulnerable heard and matter. We can all be good, do good, and inspire good. Thank you.
Isn't it amazing? I mean, we live in this little town, Phoenix, Arizona, right? And all of these huge things are happening. That is just unbelievable. Congratulations, Shannon. We appreciate all that you do. I want to talk about angels now. Some of you are not going to admit this, but how many of you believe in angels, just by a show of hands? Okay, lots of you are admitting this. This is good. This is good. You know, being a news person and, you know, you got to find a source, right? I usually don't, but, you know, you got to have that credibility thing. The Associated Press did a study, and they learned that 8 in 10 Americans do believe in heavenly beings. They believe in angels. Well, when it comes to this, it's really not hard to believe in them when you hear Jacqueline McConnell's story. She is a retired police lieutenant with the Phoenix Police Department, and she is the founder of Angels on Patrol. The group inspires police officers to strive to make a difference in the lives of the victims they encounter almost every day, and they have helped provide services to more than 1,000 needy kids already. Here now is Jackie's story.
Today we're in this Walmart in the area of 35th Avenue and Southern because an officer responded to a call, met a family that was victimized, basically burglarized.
They say angels are everywhere. On this particular day, they were at a Walmart in South Phoenix.
Today with this family, what we're doing is we've given them a specific amount of money that they can spend on purchasing food and a certain amount of money for shoes for the 3 children.
Retired Phoenix Police Lieutenant Jacqueline McConnell is the founder of Angels on Patrol.
I wanted officers to know that you can help beyond that initial crisis. You can be a little bit more involved. As officers, we have to be careful. We do have to be careful with that involvement, but you can do more. You can help.
The mission of Angels on Patrol is to help children and families in crisis who are identified by law enforcement. They want to help officers become more than just a Band-Aid and positively affect families after the initial crisis has passed.
I really want to help change the perception of law enforcement. I think that's been successful. The family that we're here today with, the young girl just told me she wants to be a police officer when she grows up. Police shoes. Those little things really help me believe that we are achieving the goals that I wanted to achieve when I started the organization.
Jackie started Angels on Patrol after rescuing 3 children in one of the most horrific abuse cases ever recorded in Phoenix.
In 2003, I was a sergeant at the time. My officers and I we got some information about some young boys that had been held in cages for 5 years. These boys did not get out of their cages, maybe once a week. They didn't know how to eat. They basically were fed bread and water up until that point. Had no idea how to use utensils, no idea how to use the bathroom. So you can imagine what the cages looked like.
Fortunately, a wonderful foster family took the boys and their older brother in and eventually adopted all 3.
So for me to be able to see these boys, the twins are now 15, so seeing this family throughout the years, knowing that I wanted to help them beyond when I just responded to that call that day, is why I started Angels on Patrol.
Under Lieutenant McConnell's leadership, the organization has grown since 2009 to include police officers from the cities of Phoenix and Tempe.
My goal is to start out with all Valley agencies, go statewide, and ideally nationwide.
And she wants to make a difference in people's lives. I've met children that she's made a difference in their lives. I actually had several phone conversations with a young prostitute that she took off the street years ago, who just has an amazing life now and is doing quite well.
Good job.
Lieutenant McConnell says police work is a whole lot more than just catching bad guys. It's more about helping families and changing lives.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about a nice round of applause for Jacqueline McConnell? And tonight she is joined by Kachina Council Advocate and 2014 Board President of the Kachina Volunteer Awards, Julie Friendly, and Dean Rennell with Wells Fargo.
Jesus, take the wheel, take it from my hands, 'cause I can't do this on my own. I'm letting go, so give me one more chance. Save me from
The song that was playing, or is playing because I talked too soon. The song that was playing when I came out, Carrie Underwood, Jesus, take the wheel, take it from my hands. I can't do this on my own. There's been many times where I've listened to that song and I've had to follow its advice. Through all the things that I've done, there's a lot of times I've just had to throw up my hands and give it to God and just say, help me get through this, help me know where to take this. My contributions honestly pale in comparison to so many people out there. The fact that I'm up here receiving this award is amazing, and I am completely honored. But what amazes me is that there's so many amazing people out there, so many people that are doing so much good, and they'll never be recognized for it, which is okay because we don't do it to be recognized. But thank God for those people that are out there, whether it's going out and cleaning up a trail so people can go mountain bike riding, Adrian, or whether it's volunteering your time as the president of Angels on Patrol, Demetria, or my aunt who joined me from the beginning to get Angels on Patrol going. All the things that people do to make things happen so that so many more people who would never have received help can receive help. I'm here today because Jody Liggett, thank you, Jody. Jody wrote me up for this award. Jody is a very busy person. Jody took the time out of her busy schedule to write me up, and I happen to be picked amongst so many other wonderful people and contenders. So thank you for having me here today. I spent 20 years as a Phoenix police officer, a profession that I am extremely proud of. I only retired so that I can take care of my son. I'm very blessed to have been able to retire at a young age. I have a toddler. You probably heard him crying here and there. That's my son. But I retired so that I can take care of my son. Over the years as a police officer, we see many, many horrific things happen. We each handle what we see in different ways. And again, I spent 20 years as a police officer. My police chief is here. He spent 35 years in law enforcement. Imagine the things that we see, from the case that you saw on TV to so many other things that most people don't even want to hear about. You don't even want to know that it happens in your society. From the experiences, I created Angels on Patrol. In 2009, I met some people, and I presented this crazy idea to them. Joanne Del Colli, who happens to be here, referred me to Nancy Dean, and Nancy Dean said, "Sure, you guys can come under our umbrella under Arizona Foundation for Women." Thank you, Nancy. Because of that, Angels on Patrol exists. A big part of Angels on Patrol, that's my son. A big part of Angels on Patrol and what got me to do Angels on Patrol is you saw the story of the Viniegra boys. Those boys are amazing. And part of Angels on Patrol is actually helping them with medical and educational bills. We have just a little pot of money set aside, and I'm very proud to say that Luis, who is the older brother, is now in college at NAU, and we were able to help him pay for his books and his parking passes, and that to me is awesome. The mission of Angels on Patrol is to help abused or neglected children or families in financial hardship identified by both Phoenix and Tempe police officers. There are people out there that officers come across that will never make it to the other services. We kind of provide that stopgap measure where we come in, we help, we refer them to other services, and we're out. But imagine the impression that that leaves on that family of that police officer, those kids you saw in the video. What is their impression going to be of police officers as they grow up? You have so many police officers every day who take money out of their own pocket. I know them. They take money out of their own pocket to help that family buy food, to help them buy clothes, to buy that kid shoes, who spend literally hundreds of hours doing camps like Hoops for Hope for children so that they can help these kids out of bad situations and help improve their lives. Angels on Patrol cannot work without the support of the police departments, and it cannot work without officers referring families and children to us that need help. We have been able to send children to, I think we've got one coming up that we're sending her to Germany on the Youth Ambassador Program. We've sent kids to Washington, D.C. We've sent kids to music camp. All these kids are referred to us by police officers, making a difference. They are out there making a difference every day. And these are the only ones that we know about. My parents recently moved to Arizona to help me with my son, and in watching them, I've learned very much the traits that I have got from my parents. And I tell you, one huge trait I learned is volunteerism. My parents are amazing. My mom has dedicated most of her life to the nonprofit world. My father has volunteered, doing amazing things, helping write legislation in Idaho for domestic violence, serving as the librarian at the county jail in Idaho, amongst many other things. Mom and Dad, thank you. And I'm probably going to get in trouble because this isn't supposed to be a thank you speech. This speech is supposed to be to motivate everybody in this room to go out and volunteer. Whether it's you go out and you help for 5 minutes, or you can spend 50 hours volunteering. Everybody in this room can do something. If you have an area of expertise, nonprofits need your expertise. They need accountants, they need bankers, they need lawyers to serve on their boards. Those are simple things that you can do using your area of expertise to volunteer your time. You can volunteer your time in general, like some of these people that are here receiving awards are doing, like many people in the audience are doing, like the members of the Han Kachina Council are doing. It just takes one person. For those that aren't able to donate time, or you don't feel you can donate time, recognize that $5 makes a difference. Think about if everybody in this room donated $5. That adds up. A lot of times people think, well, I don't have enough money to donate. What about $5? What about $1? It's enough. Donate it. Help. because nonprofits can't exist without the money. There's a lot of people in this room today that believed in my dream of Angels on Patrol. Thank you for believing in my dream. We went from sitting in my friend's living room several years ago in 2009, hoping to raise $5,000 in our first year, to today, 2014, we've helped over 1,600 individuals because people believed in my dream of Angels on Patrol. To the Han Kachina Council, thank you very much for taking the time to have this event and raising awareness for volunteerism. There's a saying that I saw, and I really like it. I don't know who wrote it, but I'm gonna say it. Alone we are but one drop of water. Together we are an ocean. Look around you in this room, because this is the ocean. You've seen the stories. We can make a difference. Just donate some time and volunteer. Thank you for having me.
I tell you, as someone who reads the stories of the community every morning, to get to see just one of our first responders share the stories of all, hi little guy, 22 months. He wants his mama. You can understand why, right? She's a good lady. But it's great that we get to see the human side of these men and women who are protecting us every single day. So, oh boy, we thank her very much for everything that she has done, that's for sure. Well, there are so many good things. We turn on the national news and you hear all the bad things, but we have so many good things happening in this part of the world, right? And we're going to take some time right now to thank another one of our generous sponsors, which is the Phoenix Business Journal.
The Phoenix Business Journal is pleased and honored to be involved with this year's Han Kachina Volunteer Awards, a program that is designed to both recognize the achievement of outstanding Arizona volunteers and increase public awareness about volunteerism. The program, which has provided a wonderful partnership for the Phoenix Business Journal, is an extension of the rich heritage of volunteerism provided by St. Luke's in Phoenix for the past 100 years. Being associated with this organization and this awareness program gives the Journal another way to give back to the community, which is a very important part of our mission. As a member of the St. Luke's Board of Governors, the opportunity to promote and support these wonderful volunteers is an honor, and I'm excited to play a continued role representing the Business Journal in this prestigious awards program.
We are headed into the home stretch. It's good to hear laughs and lots of chatter. That's a good thing. Right now, I would like to introduce you to a very special guest and former Han Kachina Volunteer Award winner, Kathleen Lewis. Kathleen, by the way, is the founder and president of Packages from Home, an organization that sends care packages from home to all of our servicemen and women. Please give Kathleen a warm round of applause.
Thank you so much. Well, hello. This is just awesome. This is awesome. Last time I was up here, I was an honoree. And tonight I'm watching all of these people on the stage, and this makes me so proud to be an Arizonan. Being an Arizonan is the best thing I can think of right now. And I am a native, and I see my state growing in the hearts of every one of you right here. It's amazing. Thank you for being here. Well, I would like to let you know, first of all, there are a couple of people, just the honorees I want to mention, and I am the off-the-cuff girl, so you may come up, who knows. First of all, Art, your car is totally bitchin', okay? Whoa. It is bitchin'. Please He's one of my neighbors. I live in Heber, which is like an eyelash in Arizona. Yes. Okay. And he is in Sholo, so that makes us almost like homies, okay? So, and then, I mean, Larry, wow. Yeah, you're the bomb, baby. You are. Now, Jonathan, I'm sorry, honey, I just can read here about you, but I'm sure you've got talents I don't even know about, okay? Shannon, I'm a twin, and unfortunately, I ate too much. But your 3 kids are beautiful, healthy, and thank you for having them. Okay, let me get to the next page here. All righty. Oh, our cop. I think she gave me a ticket once. Okay? Now, our police officers remind me so much, and our fire department people as well, they remind me so much of my military. They are the first responders. They go in where the rest of us run, and to help these children and families, that was awesome, and you really clean up well, okay? Now, Larry has not been up here, but I met his mother, who is, oh my God, she is just amazing. And Larry is not too bad either, he has dimples, okay? Mr. Wilson, what a sweet, kind man. In high school, yes. I'm a St. Mary's girl. I'm one of those Catholic girls you heard about, okay? We would go down to St. Vincent and help. So we appreciate that. So I am lucky to be a Han recipient. And someday I hope, you know how your dog, you hope your dog, you become the person your dog thinks you are. I've got 4 of them, okay? 4 of them. They think I'm swell. I hope someday that I become the person that the Han Kachina Council thinks I am. I'm going to work real hard for that, okay? Well, what I'm here to do tonight is to squeeze a little extra money out of you, okay? And that's something I do very well. I want you to see on the table, I want everyone to pick this up. Do you see this? Pick it up. Don't be afraid. It won't hurt you. Okay. What you can do here is you can put a credit card number here. You can actually put cash if you have it. You can put a check if you have it in here. And that money will be divided equally among the 7 honorees. And let me tell you from experience, it's running a nonprofit, particularly in this time, is very, very difficult. There are only so many charity dollars out there, and they are spread very, very thin right now. The people who are in this room tonight obviously value charity, value compassion, value the work that these wonderful people are doing out of the goodness of their hearts. And so please, if you can, please put a little extra in here. Too many of our nonprofits, since 2008, they're gone. And so that not only hurts the state of Arizona, it hurts those people who would normally be helped, and then puts an extra burden on the charities that are fighting, and I mean fighting, to stay alive. So if you can do that, whether, as our beautiful police officer said, whether it's $1, it's $5, whatever it couldn't be, please put it in to this little pretty thing right here. And then we have some Boy Scouts. And I told the Boy Scouts that I wanted them to go to each and every table. They should pick up at least 20 of these at every table, okay? So the Boy Scouts will be around shortly. Right, but in the meantime, let me make sure I get this correct. I don't want to mess this up, because I've got some people at my table who think they're smarter than I am. And I keep telling them, no, you're not. Okay. The National Bank of Arizona has donated 2 tickets to the Cardinals in a suite for December 7th, and we know that's Pearl Harbor Day, and that's a day that we recognize a lot. The Arizona went down that day, our military, and that's near and dear to my heart, obviously. The first $1,000 is going to get these tickets. Now, who is going to be man enough or woman enough to stand up right now and say $1,000 so you can go and get these tickets? Yeah, we're not even going to tell them who they're playing. This is like a raffle here. Okay, who's going to stand up for $1,000? Come on, somebody's got to do this. Come on, be a man. Let's do it. Come on, up. I'm not leaving till you do it. Okay, right there. Okay. And your name? I'm sorry. Monica Finnegan is the biggest man in the room. Monica, you're the bomb, baby. Okay. And I'm going to have...
She's my neighbor.
Yeah, just put those in the vault. Put them in the vault. Yeah, get them in the vault. All right. So what I would like you to do, again, please fill this out. Help these charities. They're amazing. They make our community better, and it makes you better. When you give, you become the person your dog thinks you are. It's true. And I know Father Joel right now is proud of me because I've done what he's told me to do. I've done what people before have shown me. My father, gosh, I really am winging it. Okay. My father was an orphan, okay, back in the Depression. And he was passed from family member to family member. Those family members were having a hard time feeding their own children. He ended up at Father Flanagan's boys' home, Boys Town. And there he learned an occupation. He was fed, he was clothed, he was loved. He knew Father Flanagan. And that was a charity. It was a charity. And because Father Flanagan loved my father enough to take him in and say, God bless you, he was a fine, fine man. And he passed on down to me giving and volunteering. So maybe we should just say thank you to Father Flanagan tonight. I'm not sure. But please, dig a little bit deeper, okay? Thank you very much. And Colby, you are so cute. Okay.
So agree with you. I totally agree. Thank you. We'll be in touch. Seriously. Okay, I'm ready. All right. You were great. You want me to? Did I lose one? Oh, I did. Wait.
Okay, they're in here. Monica.
They might make it rain up in here. Thank you. You're so awesome. Thank you, Kathleen. That was great. And thank you for the big kahunas, Monica. All right, our next honoree is Jonathan Cotter, co-founder of Ryan House. And Ryan House, if you don't know, offers support and is a haven for families who have a child with a life-threatening condition. And it was established to help give parents short-term breaks from, as you can imagine, the relentless demands of caregiving so that they can rest and bond with other family members while their sick children are in a good and caring facility. So here is Jonathan's story.
Down table so that when I get Ryan out of the wheelchair, I want to laterally shift him here.
Jonathan Cotter with Ryan House in Phoenix has been giving a lot of tours lately. He's been showing organizations from across the country the unique place that is named after his son. In 2004, Jonathan Cotter, along with his wife Holly and community partners, established Ryan House in Phoenix.
We're very true to the mission that we do, which is we provide respite and end-of-life services for children that have life-threatening conditions.
The Ryan House story began when the Cotters were living in England.
It was a beautiful birth, everything was going great, but at 8 months old we really realized that something just wasn't right.
Ryan was diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy, a neuromuscular disease.
There is no treatment and there is no cure, which means that we were basically told to take our son home and love him. Some very compassionate therapists and people that we were working with at the time had recommended this place called Helen House.
Helen House in Oxford, England, was the world's first children's hospice house, but the Cotters weren't so sure they were ready to embrace a hospice.
Eventually people kept saying, no, I think this could really help you. This is really a place for a break. So eventually we took the initiative and scheduled a tour and visited Helen House and walked in to what really is what you're experiencing here at Ryan House.
Being the parent of a chronically ill, terminally ill, or child with a life-limiting condition, how emotionally draining that is on parents. And we provide that place of refuge, I believe.
And that family has to go through 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week care where those families, and I can speak from personal experience, have lack of sleep. There's so much stress and strain on this family. Relationships are pulled in a lot of different directions.
That was the case for Toya and her son Donovan until she found out about Ryan House and the support it gives families like hers.
Here they have the pet therapy, they have music therapy, they have the sensory room for Donovan, they have the hydrotherapy pool. These are all things that he doesn't get at home.
What Ryan House does is we support those families. We have a world-class team here that knows how to care for these children. We know how to do feeding tubes. We know how to do medicines. We know wheelchairs. We know about bathing and therapies. Let us care for your child just like you would like us to care for your child, so that you can go home and get some sleep, so that you can recharge as a family, so that you can stay connected and keep going. And the connections that we have with these families is at a level that is incredibly deep. And when that child does die, a lot of these families still feel so connected to this house, because what I also say is once you're in the family, you're always in the family.
Let's welcome Jonathan Cotter to the stage. He is joined by Kachina co-chair and council advocate Kate Maynard and St. Luke's Health Initiatives Suzanne Feaster.
Okay, by a show of hands, how many people have heard that song before? Actually a few? Wow, that's actually surprising. I wouldn't have thought anybody had heard that song before. That was when we were asked to pick a song to come up on stage for, that song immediately came to my mind. And when I asked my wife Holly for her recommendation, she, without hesitation, also suggested that song. That song has a lot of personal meaning for us, and it really takes me back to the beginnings of Ryan House. It's by a British teeny bop group called S Club 7, and the song is called Reaching for the Stars, if you want to iTunes that later. That song was very popular in England when our son was born, and that group I don't think ever really made it over to the States. So Reaching for the Stars. Stars. Starfish? Someone recently asked me about the symbolism in the Ryan House logo. There is a hand within a star that makes up the A. And that person really understood why the Reaching for the Stars part was there, but they'd also kind of heard about the folklore that maybe this had something to do with the starfish. Well, we'd all heard the story many times before about the man who's walking along the beach and sees the beach covered with starfish. And he sees the young boy picking one up and throwing it back into the ocean and saving that starfish. So he walks up to the boy and he asks, "How can you possibly think that you can save all of these starfish?" And the young boy pauses, looks up at the man, and says, "Yes, I know, but I made a difference to that one." So the Ryan House logo really is about reaching for the stars and making a difference for those that we can. The magic of Ryan House was really about a lot of stars-aligned moments. You had a poster family who was willing and able to talk about our personal experiences and our stories and help this community really understand why such a care model was needed in our community. And then you had the right people coming together at the right time, and the momentum just kind of really happened. When I'm asked today about what Ryan House is about, I say we support Arizona's most fragile families on the most difficult journey imaginable. To become part of the Ryan House family means that you have a child that is not expected to live into adulthood. We want to connect with those families the moment they find that out. And we want to care for your child so that you can get the parents a short-term respite break, a couple of days, a week, to really breathe, recharge, and just kind of go on your journey. And you're going to get 28 days a year of that at Ryan House. We're going to care for your child in a wonderful place called Ryan House, where our world-class care team is going to make sure that that child lives every day, even though that life may be short. Even though that life may be short. People outside of our team may look at Ryan House and think that this is a sad place. And yes, in the 4.5 years that we've been open, we've had over 250 children die at Ryan House. But we're not a sad place. We help assure that these children's lives are magnificent. We help and support that family along the journey so that they get to enjoy every moment that that child has. And oh yeah, we don't charge anyone for anything. Thanks to our amazing board and our team and the generous community here, we raise lots of money. If it were your child, wouldn't you? The Kachina Award is very special to me for a number of reasons. Han, healing, really embodies what Ryan House is all about, and it touches my heart in a personal way, and that helps fuel my passion. So I really thank you for recognizing me with the Kachina Award. The St. Luke's Health Initiative's connection to this award also makes me smile, because it was SLHI that really awarded Ryan House our first $35,000 planning grant to formalize our business plan and really take this project in a forward momentum. That was truly a stars-aligned moment. And the Kachina Awards are really here to recognize ordinary people doing extraordinary things. I mean, after all, who am I? Why? I don't even think about that. The real question is, how can I? Thank you.
He just said that his son Ryan told me to tell April hello. Love it. So cute. Just love it. I'm sorry. I had to share that. Okay. Oh, I love those moments. Okay, influencing people is something that all of our Kachina winners do. I mean, we have heard this in their words, and we've seen it in their actions. Our next honoree, Larry Ross, influences young people every day. He's a teacher who has also founded the Omega Youth Leadership Academy. The program is designed to empower and educate young boys of color to look beyond the boundaries of society that sometimes puts in front of them. So Larry and the Academy have inspired the boys to look to the future and to go beyond their own expectations and everyone else's.
Ships are coming in. They have lighthouses. They're called beacons. So a beacon guides people.
It's Saturday morning at a meeting of the Omega Youth Leadership Academy, and all eyes are looking to Larry Ross, a beacon in his own right.
Very few people have a connection with kids that Larry has.
You have to make a sentence, just a little quick
If
statement.
anybody ever has a passion for doing anything, he has a passion for working with young men.
Our purpose is we empower and we educate males of color. One of the biggest things we talk about is our personal growth and academic empowerment workshops that we run every 2 weeks.
The workshops help to teach the kids how to navigate through and overcome those social and personal challenges. Larry started the program when he realized that a lot of the teens he was teaching weren't ready for what was beyond high school.
A lot of them didn't know about the college readiness piece. A lot of them had a sense of that they weren't going to go to college because of different factors that kind of weren't in their way, but they had pretty much put them there mentally themselves. Because we take them over to California once a year, and we visit USC, Long Beach State. We take them to a large college fair. And what that does is open up their minds. For many of them, they haven't been out of their communities. Statistics show that when a young person visits a college before they get there, more than likely they're going to have a higher chance of getting into that college. Their grades are going to be higher in high school, and they're going to be a little bit more focused.
A few years back, Abdul Latif sat in the same OYLA Saturday morning workshops. Now he's back, encouraging these young men to get a college education, the same way Larry Ross encouraged him.
Prior to being in Omega Youth Leadership Academy, I didn't have very high expectations of what I could achieve. I was raised in a single-family home. My father passed away when I was young, and I never had a chance to see, that type of commitment before. So it's like, Mr. Ross was just like, in some ways, really like a godsend for me. In fact, I remember when I graduated from Morehouse, from college, I think he had something going on with his family, but he snuck away to come to my college graduation. That meant literally the world to me, and it's like I still, that means a lot to me.
If you ask Larry Ross why he does what he does, he chalks it up to his family genes.
It's sort of in my DNA. My mother, the same situation, single mom, raised 4 boys. I've seen her give back. My great uncle, Robert Clark, was the first African American elected to the House of Representatives in Mississippi in 1968. I just think it's part of our family, part of who I am as a Clark, and I think it's just my obligation. I just feel that, each one teach one, and sometimes we make it and we don't ever turn back over and help other people, and I think that's just what my purpose is.
It's awesome. Let's give Larry a round of applause. He's accompanied by Kachina Council advocate Dr. Joe Deka and Charlotte Call with the Camelback Inn.
Well, I'm last to go, so I think everyone will be, I'll be as brief as I can. I think Kobe said we had 3 minutes, so. As a youth, I was first introduced to the term and the ideology of volunteering. I quickly realized volunteering meant work without pay. Work without pay. Who does that? And to be honest, as a typical self-centered teen, the idea of helping someone or a group without pay was not cool. I also wanted to know who came up with this ideology of the concept of volunteering. Well, as I matured, the lenses I saw life through changed, and I soon discovered not only was it the right thing to do, but it was also my obligation to give back. I simply made a decision that I wanted to leave the community in which I live a better place than when I found it. Youth development is my passion. I'm a third-generation educator and also a retired varsity high school baseball coach, where I was afforded the unique opportunity to bond each year with youth and play a role in helping boys become men. People often ask me, what motivated you to start Omega Youth Leadership Academy? Well, I was once told by my mentor that to be a good leader, you have to be a good listener. Years back, I was fortunate to be a part of a group of college-trained community leaders who hosted the state's largest first one-day youth conference designed specifically to motivate 100 males of color, 7th through 12th grade, on how to pursue a higher education and the importance of making healthy life choices. The Saturday long day conference was a huge success. But on Monday, I was enthusiastically met by dozens of some of those same youth asking me a simple but life-changing question. Mr. Ross, when are we going to meet again? And can you teach us about how to go to college? That was my moment. I did not hear them, I was listening. Maya Angelou says, we cannot go through life with a catcher's glove on each hand. We must free one hand so we can have the ability to throw back. OYLA's mission is to inspire and empower males of color with skill sets necessary to complete and pursue a secondary education. Our motto is training to carry the torch. Our volunteers help youth overcome social and community challenges to become agents of change. Our grassroots efforts to address this issue has positively affected hundreds of youth, one of which is in the crowd tonight. I'm proud to say he has earned his bachelor's degree from the prestigious Morehouse College in Atlanta, went on to get his master's at the University of Michigan, and is currently working on his doctorate at Arizona State University. I take this personal time and privilege to salute the 2008 OYLA alum, Hassan Latif. Who actually unscripted hated to write that 500-word essay. I think the first one was 143 words, and I just handed it back to him, so. Time and human capital is what everyone in this room has wealth of. The question is, what we choose to do with our time and talents will determine the world we leave. The OYLA volunteers collectively choose simply not to stand on the sideline and watch this subgroup be led to believe that sports and entertainment is their only ticket out. I stand before you blessed for this moment right now in time and humbled for this honor. In closing, I'd like to congratulate all my fellow honorees. Keep making it happen. In closing, I also want to give a special heartfelt thank you to the Kachina members who see value in recognizing those who help others. Also, as I return to my seat, I want to publicly thank my family. You sacrifice so much in order for me to fulfill my dreams and the mission, and it does not go unnoticed. My mother was a school teacher for 47 years. My wife, who always puts up with me every Saturday morning as I'm on my way off to another OYLA event. I have 3 brothers, and they constantly hear the vision and the dream, and one of them is here tonight, Dwayne. Thank you. And of course, my 3 children, who when I was smaller, actually thought I was like a rock star because I would run into people and students that I know. And matter of fact, I have 3 former baseball players from 1996. One of them is Dr. John Sollenberger. I know he's on the council. John? They remember my oldest daughter when she was probably 6 or 7, and I was a babysitter after school while coaching. Well, now she's a senior at ASU, so I definitely want you to come up and see how she's grown. Thank you, Sabrina. My middle child, Sierra, thank you so much, and my son, Larry. I love all you guys. I leave with this special thought. Time is one of our most precious resources. We only have a minute, only 60 seconds in it. Can't abuse it, didn't choose it, but it's up to us to use it because there's only but a minute and 60 seconds is in it. Thank you.
Was that awesome or what? I mean, how do you leave here without a smile on your face, right? And ready to do something. We want to congratulate all of tonight's deserving, very well deserving award winners, and none of our honorees do it for the applause or the recognition. That's why it makes the council's job so tough to find these people, because they're not shouting it out. We need to shout it out for them, right? So it all comes down to one thing that they have in common. They clearly care, and they want to make Arizona and the world a better place to live in. And tonight's award winners are truly an inspiration for all of us. Their sacrifice should encourage all of us to go out and continue to carry on that volunteerism torch. We know that we've said this over and over again. There are so many people out there who are doing wonderful things, and they are not being recognized for what they do. And so that is where we need to come in and give them that thank you, that Kachina thank you spirit. So if you have been sitting here tonight and you're thinking of someone, who gives back constantly, someone who is deserving of being recognized, and someone who isn't shouting it from the rooftop saying, pick me, pick me. We want to hear who those people are, who that person is. And this will be for next year's awards. I believe it's in the program, but you'll want to log on to the Kachina website, which is www.kachina.org. And nominations are being accepted from now until October 24th. And that might seem like not a lot of time, but there are some changes coming up because next year's volunteer awards are going to be held earlier in the year. The 38th Kachina Volunteer Awards are going to be held right here at the Camelback Inn on May 9th, 2015. So mark your calendars for that. We would like again to thank our generous sponsors for being committed to promoting and supporting volunteerism in Arizona. And before we go, Deanna, I knew you wouldn't write this into the script, so I'm going to go there. I'm sorry. But Deanna Rodriguez Bogart is right back there. Can you wave? Thank you. Deanna was my boss when I first moved here, so I got an email from her maybe a month ago. I'm excited to work with you. I thought, are you kidding me? We get to work together again? I had no idea that she was still involved with Kachina. She was an integral part of putting together this night and putting together those wonderful vignettes about our volunteers. So can we give her a round of applause, please? You thought you were going to go unnoticed. I don't think so. So it is time for everyone to have their just desserts. It's going to be served out there on the Sonoran Terrace. And if you've never had them, oh my gosh, are you ever in for a treat? Please take the opportunity to personally congratulate our honorees. We thank you for being here tonight. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And thank you for making me cry.